And so the fines going from $10 to $15, in both cases, the fines and the meters, you're looking at a 50% increase. The fines are going to generate $400,000 a year, going up $5. At the end of the day, what I would be wanting you to think about, Mayor, is that downtown Bethlehem is a progressive, unique downtown, and isn't like Reading or any other the cities in your peer group. But we're more like, we want to attract people to come downtown as opposed to going to the promenade or any of the other lifestyle centers. You know, we compete with the lifestyle centers. We don't necessarily compete with Allentown, quite frankly. We compete more with the promenade. Nobody pays anything when they go to the promenade. They park as close as they can, and they move back further if they have to. And Sarasota, Florida, Naples, Florida, where I reside in the wintertime, their meter rates are zero. Their meter rates are zero. And Corning, New York's meter rates are zero. Saratoga Springs, New York, their meter rates are zero. I didn't see any of those in the peer group. But those are progressive downtowns that are fighting to combat the lifestyle centers. They're trying to bring people to downtown. And a perception of free parking at the meters is a positive perception that far outweighs whether you were $1 or $1.50. The concept that, gee, it's the same as if I go to a lifestyle center, if I can find a place on Main Street, albeit we have less parking spaces in general. You got to move way up Market Street perhaps to get close. But I'd like us to really rethink the whole philosophy. And the philosophy that would change would be that the meter rates are zero, which changes perception, and the fines, because what we really want, you said it correctly, what we want is turnover. So a fine of $25 and a zero meter rate will at the end of the day get you the same revenue that you're seeking for the parking authority using your numbers as the $10 to $15 fine and the $1 to $1.50 increase in meter rates. So you can do two options. You can go $0 and $25, which really will make someone think if they're going to stay beyond 2 hours on Main Street, it's a $25 fine. And that's going to increase the turnover, because right now what we've got is quite frankly, a lot of our own business people, as much as we try to get them off the street, at the end of the day, they suck up the fine, the $10, and they park there all day long. And so, I mean, we've got to make it onerous on somebody to stay there beyond 2 hours, or 3 hours, whatever we decide the amount is going to be for the downtown. So what I'm saying is, if we're looking for revenue and if we're looking for turnover and we want to join the progressive cities in America that are trying to foster their downtowns, we'll go to free parking, free meter parking across the city. Continue to charge in the garages, free meter parking, and bump those fines up to $25. Now one would say, $25 sounds pretty high, we're at $10, that's a big increase, but by your own report up there, Easton's at $25. Harrisburg is at $30. So it's not out of the question for us to go to the $25 fines. And that's going to, I assure you, that's going to have a lot bigger impact in turnover on Main Street than raising the meter rate from $1 to $1.50. And it's going to really help, I think, with the marketing of the city. It's going to be a lot easier. I was the one lone voice on DBA board that said I'm not going to market an increase in parking. I think it sends the wrong signal to the very people we're trying to attract to downtown, and we're sending them all to the lifestyle centers. So I'm confident from the numbers, again, as soon as, because right now you're taking in $800,000 in parking fines and $500,000 in meters for $1.3 million. You're asking for a $650,000 increase to bring revenues to $1.95 million. assuming the same number of fines, cars getting fines of $25 will deliver $2 million in revenue. So you're going to get your same revenue and have free parking, which is a complete game changer, in my opinion, for the traditional Northeast corridor businesses and the Pennsylvania business, and would define Bethlehem in a really positive, exciting mode. Secondly, I just want to ask, I believe the Parking Authority's charter, I asked Kevin this, is for parking garages to the central business district. And when I last looked at the zoning map, Polk Street is not in the central business district. Central business district there's no parking requirement by any business in the central business district, and therefore that's why you have parking garages, I get it. But outside the central business district, it's the responsibility of the developer to build and take care of his own and provide the adequate parking. And I think the Polk Street garage should be the responsibility of the developers and not City Bethlehem Parking Authority. So I ask you to turn down this request and rethink and look at Bethlehem as a transformational, progressive city when it comes to parking, and consider the $25 fine and zero parking for meter parking. And one last thought is, if it isn't about revenue, or if it is about revenue, I just have to ask that we in the downtown businesses our customers all pay parking at the meters, but there's no parking meters within a block and a half of City Hall. So if we really want revenue, why don't we have meters around City Hall going up Market Street? You have to get a block away from City Hall before meters start. So I'm just asking for Main Street to have the same benefit that City Hall has in terms of free parking, 2-hour limit.
Stephen Antalik, 737 Ridge. You're looking to keep on-street parking to a minimum, going to a garage, and I think right now your parking meters are counterproductive because most communities restrict on-street parking in areas to 2 hours, but you've got some meters like up to more than 2, up to 4 to 10 hours. So you're counterproductive. So I would suggest all meters either be 1 hour or 2 hours max, which would force them to go to the garage. But having 10-hour on-street parking, why go to the garage? And also, I was told by a professional that many people park on the street because they don't know how to use a credit card in the garage. It's easier for them to put in a quarter because you've got a lot of people in the city are not proficient in English. So they will not go into the garage because they don't know how to use it. Number 2, the new street garage, other than contract parking for businesses in the adjoining next door neighbor, of the total parking spots available for transient use, what % of those parking spots are occupied on a daily basis? Do you understand?
I understand.
What % do you think are used on a daily basis?
I don't have that number on me.
I think that would be nice to know, because that would tell you whether the garage is a cost on the city of Bethlehem or the people rather than on the people parking. Because if the garage is not making the money, someone's gonna have to pay the debt. So I would urge you to find out how efficient is that garage. If I ran a business, I would like to know. And parking is your business. Next. I've checked with a number of communities, and in my travels, the city of Bethlehem is out of line with many, many communities. As Mr. Haynes said, they keep their parking on the street very low for the reasons you wisely stated. And also, they keep parking ends at 6 p.m. So meters running at 9 p.m. clearly is a revenue generator at the cost of the public. Parking meters on East 4th Street, 10 blocks from the business district, are 9 p.m. It makes no sense. And you're punishing people who might want to park there and they have to feed a meter. And they forget they're going to get a ticket. Also, since other communities seem to be operating in a method contrary to what you're suggesting here, increasing rates, as Mr. Haynes has mentioned,